Today I have no box to show, and I think this game was actually never available in a boxed version. It was first released 30 years ago as shareware. Many of you probably don't even know anymore what shareware is. In the time before widespread internet access, let alone before smartphones and apps, many people could not afford expensive games or productivity software. Hence, shareware vendors would sell programs on floppy disks for small money. The software was like today's light apps with limited usability or content, and if you wanted to have the full experience, you would pay the author a fee, which was usually well below regular commercial games and programs, say in the order of 5 to 20 euros in today's currency. Also, you were allowed to copy the restricted shareware version of the game or program and share it with your friends and family, hence the name shareware. And this is how I got this game. The year was 1991, and floppy disks were on covers of computer magazines full of more or less useful and fun shareware games and programs. I was mostly interested in the games, and this game was one of them, the Game of Robot. The title of the game already intrigued me. It promised action, technology, the future. I never heard about this game before. It was not made by the big names, Sierra, Lucasfilm, Microprose, or Electronic Arts. No, it was made by a German team of developers, two guys that called themselves Tom Productions. First time I started up the game, I was impressed. High resolution EGA graphics and smooth animations. But the graphics were also a bit simplistic and the first level seemed a bit empty. I was not sure what I was supposed to do in this game. And this feeling will come back to you every so often in Robot, because the game explains nothing. Every item, every enemy, and every game rule is for you and only you to discover. Sure enough, my first encounter with the two robots in the first level very quickly ended in the death of my player character. However, you start with 3 lives, and so I quickly found out 2 rules of the game. First, the robots will try to chase the hero and kill him, and second, you can lure them into traps, like electric fences. The game quickly ramps up the difficulty and complexity by introducing a plethora of items that can be used, with ever more increasing complexity of puzzles and problem solutions possible. And in the beginning you can't even save and restore your game progress. You first need to find a suitable item to do that. The first game of Robot has several dozen rooms or levels, and step by step you learn that you are in an evil wizard's lair, and your endgame is to destroy that wizard. However, this is not that easy, and to get to the final room where the wizard lives will take many hours. The game is in German, and there are 4 whole robot games, each consisting of dozens of levels. I will focus in this video on the first robot game and also the special freeware edition, Robot Junior. That one has 2 major advantages. It is small with only a dozen rooms to explore, and it has an English localization, which makes the entry into this series of games much easier. Luckily, you don't need to read a lot of text in the games, and nowadays you can use your smartphone to translate the text on the fly just by pointing your camera at it. So I guess even non-German players might have a great time with this game. And make no mistake, Robot is addictive. The whole game fits easily on a 360K floppy disk, but the number of rooms, enemies and items, as well as restrictions such as the backpack that is always too small, make for great motivation. After beating every robot in a room, the doors or exits will open and you think, okay, maybe I will check out this next room as well. And down the rabbit hole you go. The fact that saving game progress is tied to a certain item in your possession that is used up when saving makes this not better at all. Finally, the authors of the game are still actively answering support requests and give hints in the game's official web forum. On the other hand, if you want to play the full game, you also have to pay up. All the games, with the exception of the free Robot Junior, let you play the full game for free, up to 100,000 points of score. Beyond that point, the game asks for a serial number which you must buy. These licenses cost 10 euros per episode or 35 euros for all 4 games. A lot of people think this is way too much for a 30-year-old game that never got a whole remake with better graphics or content. And you know what? I think you will think this is not too much once you have gotten hooked on the robot. Considering that you will spend many days staring at your computer screen, watching your little hero get trapped between two wrongly facing arrows, exploding in an electric fence or pummeled by robots, this is a very small price to pay. I definitely had an extremely pleasant trip down memory lane and am very pleased to have rediscovered this little gem of a game. All in all, I would give the first episode and Robot Jr. 8 out of 10 points, with a small deduction due to the limited graphics and sound support, as well as some minor game and puzzle design issues. Overall, it is an awesome game that you should try out. The game easily runs on a 286 with DOS, but there's also a Windows version of the game which contains all 4 episodes, as well as Robot Jr. This will be the most convenient version of the game for most of you, and I recommend that you check it out. The link to the download site can be found in the video description. I will not try to spoil too much in this video, and it would be too boring to list all the different items and styles of puzzles that Robot contains. But some things I definitely want to mention. The rule that all doors open when the room's cleared of enemies is not strictly always true. The game allows for scripting of these events. Sometimes certain exits open only on second entry in the room, or if you possess a certain object or do not possess it. Same goes for teleportation. You will encounter special tiles in the game which will usually teleport you to the same spot in another room. They depend as well on you having or not having certain items. And do not forget about the keys. There are a lot of locked doors in Robot. Similar to other games, such as Doom, you are confronted with doors of different colors, and naturally you will find colored keys throughout the game. Pick the keys up to get past these obstacles. One hint, in the settings switch to monochrome mode, which will render keys and doors with Roman numerals instead of colors. This is useful for colorblind people, but also there are several shades of colors which even regular-sighted people can hardly tell apart. That about wraps it up, and I thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos, share, like, and subscribe if you want to, and otherwise have a nice evening and see you next time.